So for making beats for Black Kray, the cool thing is that his music is so experimental. It's really not confined to like one certain pattern or one certain sound. He makes such a huge variety of beats, so it could basically be anything. But there is a few things that he does do in his beats, which are kind of like the patterns that I will use. Like, for example, he'll do the triplet flow with the hi-hats and the drums. So like that's definitely something he took from Memphis rap. So that's like an inspiration. But at the same time, he has like all this futuristic kind of sounds, which seems more like EDM or some other experimental genre. Anyways, let's move right to the BPM. So for the BPM for a Black Kray beat, it really could be any BPM. That's another great thing. So sometimes I'll be cooking like slower beats down into the 90s or low 100 BNs. And in this range from like 90 to 110 is where you'll make the slower beats. Then when we go up to like 110 to 140, that might be mid-tempo. Anything over 140 is going to be faster, which is fun to experiment with. He does have a lot of faster songs. But if you want to go for like the older style, you might go for that lower range, like 90 to maybe 120. That'll get you a good BPM for some of those older beats. So let's just do 102, and you'll see how like slow this is. It's kind of a vibe. And now let's move into making the melody. So for the melody, you can pull out any synth that you have that you feel like has some good sounds. And then I'm going to take those sounds and we're going to make some chords for the melody. So I guess I'll use Nexus. It has a huge variety of sounds. And then I'm going to go over to the pads, and we can look through the pads to find a good pad. They also have some like selectors at the top, so I can choose the vibe. For example, this one says spiky. I don't know what that means. I guess it does kind of sound spiky, like more harsh sounding. I realized this probably has an echo because I'm playing the music on my speaker. So let's just go back, and I'm gonna try to find something that sounds good. Alright, so once you have a sound that you think might work, you can just go and place down our first note, and I'm gonna stretch it for 2 bars. Now it looks like for some reason this isn't playing. So if it's not like I'm trying to play it and it's not playing, I think you sometimes have to click on the channel rack and see it's still not working. But if we click the play button on the channel rack, it'll actually play this, which I don't think I want this sound either. I think I'm gonna go over to the pianos, and let's load a piano first. We can make the chords with the piano. I'm just gonna play some chords. It actually sounds kind of chill, kind of like Black Kray or Xavier Wolf. But what I'm doing is I'm going to chop it right here, and then I'm going to kind of think of like the next part, which might just be a duplicate. A lot of times I just duplicate the same thing. We could have like a little melody where we have this come in. That's kind of cool. I'm going to keep experimenting. And if it doesn't sound good, I'll just change the note. And like see what I'm trying to vibe on. doing is I'm just pulling out different sounds and layering them right now. Trying to get something that sounds cool. Looks like I only had the wide one on, which I guess isn't a bad thing. We're gonna make a really wide beat. Sounds crazy. So now that I have some like crazy sounding shit, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export this. I'm gonna render this as a clip. Now we have this cool clip to work with. And what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna right click and go to edit sample. And we can just sample this just like any other sample. I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna get the loop, which already kind of highlights. And what I'm gonna do is this time I'm gonna create a new pattern, and I'm gonna drag this into the drum rack. And the way that I dragged it is it created it as a new sample instrument, which means I can play this like any other instrument. But there is a few things that I'm gonna do to change how this works. The first thing is I'm gonna remove the use loop point, so I'm gonna turn it off. Then I'm gonna come over to the envelope settings, and I'm gonna add this envelope so that as soon as you release the note, it will no longer be playing, which that is going to help for what I want to do. We can also do the cut self. So just if you do place another note, it's just going to cut off the one that was playing. And now we can actually use our sample inside the piano roll just like a synth. And we can make all these crazy sort of sounds. So I'll show you what I like to do. And then you can also do like stutters with the beat. See, that shit gets, that would be so hard once you add the drums. Even if this will just kind of like a breakdown or transition. And then we could also have another one where we play the whole thing at the regular speed. That shit's hard. And we can loop it, and at the end, I'll just do a stutter. That's hard. And another cool thing is since we're in the instrument path, we can have the pitch shifts. So we can have this pitch shift thing. Oh, and we can also have it play at like a higher pitch. That would sound crazy. But then we can actually have a pitch modulation. See, that's like that crazy kind of warping pitch transition sounds. Now we can have it be like this. And then we can have that drop down. Now let's get into making the drums. So I'm gonna go to drum kit. You could either have a funk drum kit or a Lex Luger kit, or like any sort of trap kit will work, honestly. I'm gonna use the funk kit because that's the one that I found first. And I'm gonna put out some kicks. So what I like to do is I like to put like one on the first, and then you can almost hear how it bounces. So I've just been doing it for so long that I kind of remember where the spots, like where I want it to hit. But it's also kind of random. So once you hear it, you'll realize where you want it to be. Another thing I like to do is I like to click on the kick and then go over to this second setting and crank up the boost, which is gonna make the kick stand out way more in like the speakers and the headphones, so you can hear it more through the mix. See, like it actually sounds crazy. And then you can go as crazy as you want with the kick, because Black Kray has a lot of kicks in his music. We can actually like, I'm putting kind of more than I usually do. And then for hats, let's just start off with You know, the standard hat where we do fill each 2 steps. And I can mess with the graph editor. So we're like changing the pitch. And I'm also gonna click on it, make sure that loop points are off, which they are. Oh yeah, that's hard. And then we can add some open hats. And with the open hats, it always sounds fire when they hit at the same time as the kicks, which is usually like these 2, you know, things. We could have that going. But also add variation. You don't want to stay the same. So I mean, the more variation, the better. So if we make these open hats down here like a little bit more offside, that might be cool. And we can get the perks. So for the perks, let's start off with the chime. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it go on every first red one, all the way down, and then at the end, I'll do like a little switch up, or make it do something else. So see, it's like steady all the way, and then at the end, it does like a cool jingle, which can be fun. So now we have the jingle, and then we can have bells too that come in. Let's do a bell like on the clap, and then with a little variation. See how that sounds. I almost feel like it was too much bell. I'll actually just copy this whole thing, do it again, and have the bell down there. Now let's get some 808s. So for the 808s, you could just copy the kick, but actually I'll just do it by hand, because with the Black Kray beat, usually the kicks are off beat anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna grab any random 808, turn off the loop points, add this envelope. So we're gonna just flatten this to make it look like a little box. And I'm gonna go in the piano roll, and we're gonna add in our 808s. So I already know it's gonna hit on these spots. And then maybe a little, like a bounce at the end. So we can just do it as simple as that. And I know on this one, I kind of just like, whoops. I had like kind of like a bounce like this. You can really go however crazy you want. I'm not even really paying attention. This might sound terrible. That's what we're gonna do for now. See how this comes out. You can also add in other stuff like crashes and effects and stuff. You know, we need the snare. Let's grab the snare finally. Ooh, that shit's hard. You have to turn it down because it's too loud for OBS. It's crazy. It sounds good to me though, it doesn't sound too loud. And of course I love adding in like little transitions and stuff so you can get those trap transitions and just kind of go crazy with these. And yeah, a lot of the beats, what sounds dope is also just the drops, so you can do shit for the drops, like we could have our snares roll for the drop. You could have a snare roll. So one easy way to do a snare roll is just start off with one on here. We can use that, and then let's right click, go to piano roll. I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna turn on the brush mode, and then we're gonna go and we can go to this magnet and change the different type of step. And then first of all, I'm gonna click on this note so I can copy it. And now we can start like painting out some drum rolls. And if you just kind of like do this space, we can hear what that sounds like. mean, it's not great, but we might want to do it faster because we're on a slow BPM. It's gonna sound a lot slower. So if you want it to be faster, we need to use like more of them. And yeah, I would usually like mess with the velocity and just see if we can make the sound good. I might even use a different snare. Let's see if that even sounds good. I think it sounds pretty fire. Alright, now what I was thinking for the variation is I'll take this pattern 4 and make that unique. And I'll come in here and just drop it down. So it actually just goes down. It'll be like a lower pitch. That's just hard. Yes. I think this beat came out fire, but let me know what you think in the comments.